YouTube, what's up? Back again for another daily fishing video here on Andrew Upshaw Fishing. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Today's video is not a fishing tip. It's not gonna show you some like secret modification to catch some 10-pound bass or anything like that. But today is kind of unique. Today I'm gonna dive through a late friend's tackle box. Harold was a really good friend of mine, passed away not too long ago. Gave me a few of his old tackle boxes, and he was a hardcore basser, man. Like, he was one of those guys that was a chunk and wind, grind kind of guy, and I really liked that about him. Like, any day you saw him on the water, he was chunking and winding, and I think that was awesome. But we're going to talk about a few of his topwaters and some of the topwaters that I grew up fishing that I probably should incorporate back into my tackle box. No questions asked. But a couple of days ago, real fast though, I posted a video, a live scope crappie video. And I'm going to tell you guys, it was on the water. It was a live demonstration of how to adjust your settings, show you exactly what you need to be looking at and how you need to fish to catch those crappie. Posted it late in the day because my internet kind of sucked. I'm just being honest with you. It was not very good. And the other thing that I kind of had a hindrance on is, you know, when you shoot on the water video, you kind of have to deal with wind a little bit. It was kind of windy that day, so a couple of the segments of the video, not the entire video, but a couple of the segments were a bit windy. I apologize for that, but it's kind of a catch-22. If you want on the water shots, you got to deal with wind sometimes, guys. So I apologize, but I did the best that I could. So if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel yet, please do so. And, you know, I get a lot of guys that message me, man, how can I help you with your YouTube channel? What can I do? Comments especially, I get a lot of comments. But the way you can help me is to like the video or dislike it. It doesn't matter. Just like it. And that would help me a ton. But guys, let's just dive right on into this video. Let's talk about a few of these old topwaters that I may or may not should incorporate into my tackle box, and talk about a couple topwaters that I don't even know what the heck they are. I really don't. I know what they are. So the first one, I definitely know what it is, and a lot of guys know what this is. It's old school, and I'm assuming most everyone that is watching this video has at least one of these baits, and if you don't, you should get one and throw it and just see what happens. It's kind of cool. And that's an old school jitterbug. The jitterbug is, like I said, old school. Is the first like reeling, walking action kind of bait. It's pretty cool actually. And to know that they designed this thing, you know, a long, long time ago, and it has the amount of action that it does is pretty unique. I haven't spent a lot of time with a jitterbug in my hand. I did when I was like really, really young. I honestly haven't thrown it since. I know it's so bad. I know some of you, that is your favorite bait, like no questions asked. But, you know, that's the only bad thing about the advancements in technology and all these new baits is you kind of forget some of these old baits that used to catch so many fish on. And if you threw them to this day, like, would you catch a bunch of fish on them? I don't know. Probably. You'd probably catch some, if not a lot. Because, like, let's think about it. How many guys are going out there throwing a jitterbug now? Like, I might be able to count on one hand. So, yeah, you maybe should pull it out of your tackle box and go throw it. Another one that I noticed in this old tackle box was a toothpick. Now, a lot of you might not know what a toothpick is. Toothpick was an old school schooling bait. You know, like when those fish got really hard to catch, you needed to downsize your bait. And this toothpick, about 3.5 inches long, it had a weighted tail. So, like, it always cast tail first so you could cast it a mile. And it was a balsa bait, but it would sit in the water like this, and it just kind of had like this weird, like natural action, like walking through the water. But I used to catch a ton on Toledo Bend on the toothpick. You know, that was kind of one of those schooling baits that I grew up with. That and Boy Howdy, but the ones without the blades. But the Boy Howdy was a bit longer. The one that we used to use was this particular color. But without the blades. So this one actually has the blades on it. But the Boy Howdy also, same as the toothpick, had a weighted tail, but this was a hard plastic bait. It wasn't balsa, but the clear one was always the one that we turned to on those schooling fish. And I had to thank Kevin Marshall, another friend of mine from Lufkin, got me hooked on the Boy Howdy a long time ago. Definitely a really, really good bait. So thank you, Kevin, for that. One that I'm telling you, I might get shot for not fishing this thing more. And namely from my friends in Florida, This is a bait that I know to this day these guys still use, and it's not a devil's horse, even though there's an old school devil's horse in here. But that is a Heddon baby torpedo. The baby torpedo, not the tiny torpedo. So don't get it confused. The baby torpedo was the tournament guy. I mean, like, the tournament torpedo. Like, it might as well be called the tournament torpedo instead of the baby torpedo. But the tiny torpedo was the one that you always fished in ponds with, and that's the one I grew up fishing a lot. But the baby torpedo is the one that all the Florida guys, that is the one of their secret weapons. And this one right here would be one of their secret weapons. This is a solid gold with some that black bone. This one is very, very hard to get. And then he also had a green pumpkin? Yeah, like a green pumpkin baby torpedo, which definitely is going to be incorporated in my tackle box because I've never seen that color before in a baby torpedo. Super cool. But yeah, this is one that is 100% going in my tackle box, the gold one. When I go to Florida, the thing is you know, you hear a lot of guys talk about a devil's horse, prop baits in general, but this one right here, the baby torpedo, is still like a sleeper one in Florida. Like that, those guys don't talk about it very often, but it's definitely one of those. Now this particular topwater, I grew up fishing with Tommy Martin. I'll be very frank about it. He got me hooked on this topwater years and years ago on Sam Rayburn. Once again, should probably re-include it. And I have to a certain level. There's definitely some lakes that I've used it and caught a bunch of bass on it. But that's a chug bug. This particular box has a bunch of rattling chug bugs in them. You know, today's baits, you would kind of compare this to like a gunfish. But the problem is the gunfish is about an inch longer than this. You know, so being the size and the bulk that this bait is, there's really nothing out there like it. I mean, truly. There's nothing out there like their old school rattling chug bug. And it doesn't sound like the same either, because this has that old school glass rattle, which I think is just absolutely killer. One bait that I have incorporated as of the last couple of years that you're going to find in most East Texas tackle boxes. Now, I can't say for everywhere else in the country because, honestly, I don't have that many old school buddies that fished everywhere else, but one of those is the old school floating rogue. And you always knew the floating rogue by the bill is always really, really thin. But this color I'd never seen before. I've seen a lot of old rogues in a lot of different colors, but this one I thought was extremely unique. Has like a purple flashback, solid green side, and an orange belly. But the rogue is one of those baits that I always fished in that kind of weird transition. So like, you know, when those fish are pre-spawn, but they're right on the verge of spawn. So like you've got a bunch of males up. That's the bait that I use around like shallow cover, like wood, grass, stuff like that. If you're an East Texas guy, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The old school floating rogue, still this day, is one of the stone cold killers. But one that I'm going to have to put in my tackle box from Harold's group of baits is the P65. He has a bunch of P65s in here. The old school P65 was one of the original poppers. So like, this was one of the ones that Zell Rowland was really instrumental in using. You know, everybody puts a lot of hype around the P70, and the P70 is a fantastic topwater. It's an oversized topwater. This one happens to be a P71 right here. So that's a P71, and this is the P65. So, I mean, you can see the size difference. It's a considerable size difference. But the P65 would be like the same size as like a Yellow Magic or Rico, some of the smaller poppers. But there was something about that old popper, that smaller popper, that worked really, really well. And I know for a fact that if I put it on and went around the bank or wherever I wanted to fish, I'd probably catch some on it. Because the deal is not many people throw the old school popper anymore. They just don't. There's too many other options out there, whether it be a Rico, Strike King, KVD Splash, or a, you know, Yellow Magic, or whatever your popper might be. There's just a lot of options. So they just don't hear that old popper anymore. So now real fast, I do want to talk to you about a couple of baits that I don't know what the heck they are, and I need your help. So maybe you can kind of dial these in for me. So this is one of them. I don't know what the heck this is. It's got like this is a hard bait right here. It's only about 2 inches long. It's got this giant gaff hook off the back. And I'm assuming either A, you put a piece of plastic on this thing, or it just was like a schooling bait that you casted out there, and if they short struck it, you had like a trailer hook. I don't know. You tell me. You comment below. And I really want to know the name of this. So guys, like, I've seen this bait before. This isn't a new bait for me to see, but I have no freaking idea what it is. And this one doesn't work. But this bait right here, it's got the braided line. You pull it, and then the tail flaps. This one doesn't work anymore. And there was 2 of them in here. Neither one of them worked, unfortunately. But what is this bait? I understand what they designed it to do, which is just weird. But, like, what is it? Does anybody know the name? I would comment below if you know the name of this. And you can just say that braid topwater. And so you can kind of clarify what the name of it is. But I'd love to know what the name of that bait is, because I have no freaking idea what it is. But guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit off pace of what I typically do, but I think it's kind of unique to kind of look back on where we were and where we are now. And old school baits have always been a passion of mine, and I love digging through them and seeing new old baits. I guess that's kind of a weird term, but a new old bait that I've never seen. Like this thing. I don't know what the heck that is. So, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope y'all enjoyed tomorrow's video, because it's going to be a banger as well. So, guys, I'll see you on the next video.